I get lots of requests on how I make syrup for my bees and how I feed my bees. And this is my daughter here. I get lots of requests on how I make syrup for my bees and how I feed my bees. So I'm going to demonstrate how I make my feed syrup and how I set up my feeding stations, which are really inside the hives, for feeding my bees. So here we go. Starting off with a bucket. This bucket, 2.5 gallon bucket, does have honey drips from extracting from last year. Just when we take the equipment out, hang it over this, and it drips down. A little bit of honey in there, so it's honey I don't want to eat, but the bees are happy to eat it. I leave that in there because it'll give a honey flavor. I think it helps the bees take the syrup. So put that in the sink, and then scoops of sugar. I just buy sugar in bulk. And scoops of sugar, and you want to put. Can I see, please? You want to see? There you go. This is my daughter here. Say howdy. Okay, run away. Alright, so back to what we're doing. Before we got the turkey telemarketer calling me on my phone. So, I buy sugar in bulk. Just take a couple scoops like this. For my measurements, this scooper right here is about 4 cups of sugar, but I don't really measure out this stuff too much when I'm mixing it. An old mentor of mine told me to make your granny's sweetest sweet tea and then add more sugar on it. You know, minus the tea. You just want water and sugar, no tea. I just dump it in. We'll start with 2 scoops. And these aren't full scoops, so. Now, so that fills up the bucket. I'd say that's about 1/4 of the way, so 1/4 full. I think they say 1 to 1 is what the ratio is for summertime or springtime feeding. Again, I don't follow it completely. I just make it super sweet, super syrupy. So I get this started, then I'll add more sugar. Luckily, my wife keeps our water heater really hot, like too hot in my mind. So I don't have to boil the water or nothing. I just turn on the faucet. So I got it about halfway full. Just start mixing it, get that sugar to dissolve. Good work. Now I've got 4 hives in the property now, so they'll take most of this just right now in the first feeding. The rest of it I'll leave in this bucket with a lid on it and throw it in the fridge. You want to throw any extra syrup you have in the fridge. Otherwise the syrup will ferment and become alcoholic. It'll spoil, and in that spoiling it does create actual alcohol, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. I don't think it'd be drinkable. I certainly wouldn't try it. There's a lot better stuff to drink other than that. Yeah. Alright, so I'm adding more sugar. Stir away, Nettie Lou.
Well, you want to put all the sugar?
Yep, stir it up.
Stir, 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 stir.
Are you stirring?
Yep.
Good work. Alright, so that's the sugar syrup made. It's all stirred up and done. And that should be sweet enough for them.
Good.
It's good?
Yeah, I like the flavor of it.
You like the flavor of it?
Yeah, it tastes like tea.
It tastes like tea?
Mm-hmm. It has water in it.
Okay. Yep. So it tastes like tea even though we put no tea in it. It is just pretty much sugar, sugar, sugar water. Alright. Now we'll move to the next phase. Good?
Yeah.
Excellent. Think the bees will like it? Will the bees like it?
Yeah.
They'll like it? That's good.
Because they have sugar and it tastes like tea.
Very good. Alrighty, so I get asked questions about every single phase of this feeding method, including how I put the holes in the lids. What type of holes do I put in there? So this is going very basic. I just use a Phillips head screwdriver on a block of wood, lid placed top down. Took a hammer and just tap a couple of times until the screwdriver just breaks through. Boom. Sample a little hole like that. That's actually a bit bigger than I really prefer. I'll try to get a... There you go. That's more. And I do that 4 or 5 times. There you go. And these little ones that just crack through are really good. Here, I did that one 6 times. For those ones that just crack through are really good. They don't drip much. Very controllable by the bees. Alrighty then. I'm going to go ahead and get my hives set up for their feeding stations. I've got my lifts. I'm just using empty hive bodies. Yes, I know these are unpainted. They won't be on long and they'll get painted when I pull them off. I've got blocks. Let's see what those are for. I just use little cedar, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. Alright, so I did get stung. The bees have been kind of fussy this last hour, not sure why. Beautiful warm day, they got nice pollen going on. A lot of activity. Might just be some young, anxious guard bees that are out and fussy. But in response to that, I broke out the smoker. So I just smoked out the whole yard. It calmed them down a little bit. As I mentioned, I have empty hive bodies. Those will be the lifts that'll go out, that'll sit on top of the interlid with the expanding lid on top of that. I will be changing out from my winter insulated lids to my summer vented and peaked lids. These are little attic lids I build. They have screened in vent holes in the corner, screened in vent holes in the attic. My theory, and it's my personal theory, I haven't read anything on this, but I'm a builder, so I have this theory. Helps draw out the moisture, acts as an attic ventilation system. I got my feed jars all set up, 2 per hive, and I'm going to put 3 on the new hive, the nuke that I installed last week. So, here we go. So since I got stung, I'm going to get them smoked. They're fussy. It's normally I would not be smoking for something like this. As you can see, I'm not even wearing protection or bee suit. My bees are normally pretty good to me. It might be the new hive doesn't know me yet, and she decided they don't know who this guy is. Let's get him out of here. So here's this lid. It's a thick expanding lid with about a 2-inch piece of insulation in the top of it. Just helps them in the wintertime. Those look like some young bees, so I'll set that in front so they have an easier time to get back to their hive. Now you don't take off the inner lid at all, it stays on. Man, a lot of mildew over the winter on this hive. But the hive's active and strong. Get a couple blocks. You can see these lines before. These are from previous feeding stations. Blocks like that. I always like to put mine in the front. This is the front here, and the whole hive is tilted a little bit to the front. So if it does drip, it drips to the front and out instead of going into the hive. course, everything has a cost. The problem, if it does drip out the front, it can promote robbing. You just have to be aware of it, watch it. If you do have a leaky jar and it's doing that, just get rid of the jar. It's a jar, and get another one. And jar of soap. I like to pour it over, it'll drip a little bit, kind of dripping into the bees. It tells them, hey, you guys got some food. They're already going at it. Some of them are coming into things like they have a memory of getting fed this way last year. So this is the inner lid. The bees are coming up out of the hole. Jars with holes in the top sitting on boards and just little blocks. 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch blocks. So the bees can crawl under and sip. You can see that bee's heading in there. She's like, oh, good food. Ugh. And then just an empty hive body. Now if you can find jars that are sized right, you can use an empty honey super for this. And I probably could have with these jars. I think these are short enough. But my honey supers all have comb in them right now. And these didn't have anything on them, so I'll use them. And the lid back on. The new lid, the summer lid, and there we go. That hive has now got a feeding station. I'll do the same thing here at this hive. Let's see, this is a lady. This is one of my oldest hives right here, actually. I'll have to look at my books to be sure, but I think this hive, though it's not the same queen, it's been the same active hive in here for 4 years now. So that's pretty good. Maybe it's 3 years. Oh, long time. Running out of smoke a little bit. But get them smoked up. Oh, and they're building some wonky comb there. I'll have to clean that up when I come to do inspection. And there we go. Alright, I'm going to do the other two just on my own. I'll leave you guys. Hope that helped you. And until next time.